welcome to Enneagram 5. I'm so happy you're here, and just a few bullet points as we are getting started. And I'm sorry, I actually forgot to do my little mute all participants as we hop in, so let me do that real quick. So usually I'm on this, and then I, again, was just having such a good time talking. All right, cool. Boom. Okay, so a few housekeeping things. We have 2 focus groups going on right now. September business launch is, I think, being just shaping up. It's been so fun to see the interaction in there. I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who's in there, who is just starting in your business or just kind of using this as a launching pad. I think it's been really cool to see how much interaction, and just honestly, as someone leading it, it was really encouraging. And then just to think, oh, this is valuable. And then the second group is the 2 to 4K group, which is a group that for people who have had 2,000 OGV at one point and want to move to 4,000, or have had 2,000 OGV in one leg and are moving to 4,000 in one leg. So that's really fun. So I just wanted to remind you of that. If you are not getting notifications and you're in those groups, go turn them on, make sure you can see them. And then retreat is in, I think, 11 days, the Diamond Bound retreat. If you can't make it locally, that's okay. There are virtual tickets. If you need a ticket, definitely let us know, because there are a lot of people who purchased a ticket that would love to sell you their login. And so that would help subsidize their cost to come to the retreat. And I think that would be really cool to support each other in that way. So reach out to me if you don't know where you could get one, and then use that, because you can log in forevermore. Use that maybe to get people together and recap with your favorite sessions or whatever. Last but not least, next week is Enneagram 3. So be thinking of who you know, or learn what people's Enneagrams are, so that you can better utilize the information. So tonight we're talking about Enneagram 5s. I'm really grateful to have 3 friends on tonight. The first one is Carissa Davis, who is a 5, a silver with Young Living, and just an overall super cool person. Every time I meet someone who knows her too, they're like, oh, you know Carissa? And they always have something positive to say. Most of them worked with her at some point at like Paradise Park. It's like this odd connection where like somehow everyone we know worked there. But Carissa, thank you for being here tonight. I'm going to mute myself, spotlight your video, and you can just share away.
Hey guys. Hey, so I just want to make sure everybody can hear me okay. You guys good? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to jump right in. We 5s were focused, so that's what we're going to do. So Enneagram 5, some typical observations, just to kind of provide a summary of our Enneagram number. Typically, and again, these are just stereotypical observations, you're going to see Enneagram 5s being observant, focused, curious. You're going to see them being a seeker of knowledge, which can be a really good thing, and it can also lead you down some rabbit holes. So it's a strength and a weakness. They're your investigators. They usually enjoy being an expert in a particular field, like oils, and they thrive with a plan, which again can be a very great strength, or can be an area for growth. And they enjoy routine. I love routine, you guys. So a couple strengths. Your Enneagram 5s are going to be an advocate. They're going to be your champion, and they're going to be a really loyal friend. So, and then we'll talk about some areas for growth. And I would absolutely love, if you guys have questions or want to chime in, keep those questions, because we want to talk about them. Okay, so if anyone here is an Enneagram 5, and I assume a few of you are since you're here, an area for growth. It's okay to say no to overextending yourself, because you can't do it all. And you want to do it all, but we can't. We cannot do it all. Another thing that we as Enneagram 5s want to focus on is intentionally cultivating generosity. Because sometimes as a Enneagram 5, it's easy to retreat when you feel overwhelmed. And we need that downtime, but we also need to focus on stretching ourselves. Really? I'm reading a comment from Stacy. I'll stay focused. But yeah, that's interesting, Stacy. Something else to think about is sometimes we have to rest from our need to want to know all the answers. Sometimes we are not going to know all the answers, and that is okay. And so Enneagram 5s, rest. It's okay not to know it all. That's a big one for me. I want to know all the whys. I want to be able to connect all the dots because that energizes me. But if I can't find an answer, sometimes that wears me out. So we can rest a little bit because we do not have to know it all. Okay, so as a businesswoman, a couple things that I want to throw out there. Recognize that your routines and your lists can help you thrive. It can keep us motivated and it can help keep us focused. So a great thing is that Diamond Bound workbook, the Diamond workbook that Bethany has, all the lists you could possibly imagine. For me, I like to have a little list that I keep on the countertop. So throughout the day, I can check things off my list. Even little things like did laundry, right? Contacted so-and-so, because if I can check it off the list, then I feel accomplished. When it comes to our Young Living business, personal development is going to be key for our team growth. So if I am growing, when I'm growing, I see a direct correlation to the growth of my team. And then a big one for us 5s is to value relationships over business. So we're loving people, serving people over everything else. And then another big to-do for our Enneagram 5s is to set some work hours, set some boundaries. So whether this means just saying, hey, every day from 2 to 4, that's when I work. Or maybe it's after babies go to bed. Maybe it's 8:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. Or hire a mama's helper. So a lot of times there might be a friend or a family member who is 8, 9, 10 years old, and maybe they can babysit in your basement, in your playroom, in the backyard, and while you're still at home. And then this is my favorite, guys. This is just like what motivates me, is your consistency validates enthusiasm. So we've heard Bethany say that. It is so powerful when you show up consistently day after day, week after week, year after year. People trust you. And so I know as an Enneagram 5, when I see consistency in other people, that catches my attention. Okay, so a couple of things not to do as an Enneagram 5. And if you're not an Enneagram 5, maybe just kind of jot these down because, it'll help you understand your friends who are Enneagram 5s. Okay, so for me, this is what I tell myself all the time. Do not wait to start until things are perfect. I love it when things are perfect. Like, I love it when my house looks perfect. I love it when my projects are perfect, when my lists are perfect. But if I were until everything was perfect, nothing would ever happen, right? Especially if you have, little kids at home, just life is crazy. So always start. Don't compare your business or your business story or your business growth to anybody else's because it's different. Your story is totally different. And don't get bogged down thinking that you have to have the perfect system or the perfect plan. I love systems. I love, what is our text thing called? Well, you guys know what it is, how, you can send text messages to all your people and it just goes out automatically. I love systems, but yes, Project Broadcast. But, you don't have to have that. Bethany has it. Utilize Bethany. Don't reinvent the wheel if someone in your upline already has it. Have you guys heard, let's see, it's easy for me to want to be first, right? First and best, but second and done is equally valuable, guys. Second and done is just as valuable. So don't feel like things have to be perfect. Start your business first, jump in, build relationships, offer value, and just love, 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 love people. Okay, and I know we have two awesome other girls who are sharing tonight, so I don't want to cover their content. So I'm going to just offer like 4 more little tidbits and then I'm totally done. Okay, so if you have someone in your family or someone in your business, a prospect or a team member who is an Enneagram 5, here's a couple little tidbits to give you some information just to help you understand how their brain works. Typically, Enneagram 5s don't want to be pressured into a quick decision. They want some time to think it out, to process it. So that means if you try to pressure or force someone to act, they don't enjoy that at all. Offer real facts, offer stories, and be genuine. Because again, your Enneagram 5 is a researcher, an investigator, and they can kind of figure out if something feels fake or not. And then be consistent. Just be consistent with loving them, showing up for them, being there for them, because we love that. And sometimes, here's a little joke to end on. Bethany shared a meme a long time ago about an Enneagram 5, and it said, we always want to be invited to the party, always, but we may not always come. I mean, we want to be invited because we want to know that you love us, but sometimes we just can't get out there and do it. Sometimes we need to be at home and rest and recharge. And that just resonated with me because I love people. I love being with people. I get energy from being with my friends, but then I need to go home and read a book and just not talk, which, so if your Enneagram 5 friends or family members have to go home and be quiet, you know, they just need a little bit of time to recharge. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was interesting. And I'm so excited to hear what Hannah and Liv have to say too. Thanks, Bethany.
Awesome. Oh, that was so good. Love it. I could go on and on. I'm going to pass it on. Liv, you ready? I'll introduce you real quick. I'm sorry, I should have done that. Liv is a 5, and she just hit executive in Young Living, and she is awesome. I could go on and on about her, but her sense of humor as a 5 is hilarious. You're going to love it. So, Liv, take it away, girl.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I know there's not that many 5s, and it's probably hard to find the 5s too, because they're usually not at the party like the last chick said. But I wanted to talk about strengths and weaknesses in my personal business, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about how to like encourage leaders of 5s. So for me personally, I feel like one of my strengths is that I am able to kind of like observe and detach from people's personal stories. And then when I offer a product, it doesn't like have an emotional reaction from me, because it's just like how you say all the time, Bethany, do you want the ketchup for your fries or do you not? So that's kind of a strength for a 5, because I am like genuinely curious in people's stories. And then if they want to use oils or if they don't, it doesn't really offend me that much. But on the other hand, one of the weaknesses is that I feel like 5s always want to be understood, and that's not always the goal, because there are like so many misconceptions in this company, and people are always, oh, you're trying to sell me something, or, you know, multi-level marketing and all that other stuff. And it's not always the goal to be understood, but it is the goal to help people and understand other people. So sometimes like we have to get over our own weakness of being understood in order to understand other people and like help solve their problems. So that's one thing that I've really learned, probably the hard way. Took me like a year. But let's see, I took notes. So some of the encouraging things that I want to share for leaders is to keep it simple. 5s do not need all of the details at all. We really like directions and how to do it, but we also want to like drive. You know what I mean? Like we don't want to have the directions and sit in the passenger seat. So I feel like there's a difference between enabling somebody and empowering them. So I feel like it's really easy for a lot of other Enneagram numbers to enable a 5, because they're usually like slower to do it. They need all the facts, they need to research it and all that other stuff. And so other numbers will just be like, I'll do it better, I'll do it now, and all that other stuff. But sometimes you just have to let, like if you have someone in your team that is a 5, let them go at their own speed, because once they finally do it, they will do it efficient and they will get it done like the way they want it, and it'll be good too, because fives can get it done. Let's see. Oh yeah, another thing that's kind of a downfall for being a leader as a five is that we want to just do it all by ourselves. Like we want to do the business side by ourselves. We want to, like just figure it all out. But I cannot stress this enough, like grow your team together, because that's one of the things that I'm having a hard time doing right now, is just like including my team on things that I should have done from the beginning. And now they're like, oh, you've been doing this or you did that. And I'm like, yeah, I did that a month ago. So grow your team together and include people in it. I know that fives like to do it on their own by themselves. Do it together. Figure out a way. Let's see. I guess the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that I feel like a lot of people think that the Enneagram is like a box. And I feel like fives have the biggest problems with this, because like they will study themselves so much that they get to this point where they don't know like how to be involved with other people. So I just want to say that to me, I like to think of the Enneagram not as a box, but as like a platform where you can go and just jump off that platform and figure out like how to change, how to be different, how to be more like the other numbers. Like just because you're a five does not mean that you can't, be more like a 3 or be more like an 8 or whatever you want to be. I just encourage you to do that, because fives can get in their head so much. Wait, hold up. I haven't been reading the comments. Yes, we're not a box. I love that. Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's kind of all I have. I mean, just make sure you're like not so focused on what you can or can't do that you don't expand your mind, and just include people in that growing process. And yeah, that's about all.
Love it, Liv. Thank you so much. That was so fun to listen to. Okay, next we get to hear from Hannah Anderson, and Hannah has a unique perspective because she's married to a five. And so we get to hear kind of like, hey, tell us, I'm secretly hoping we get to hear a story of like a funny story, but we'll see.
Oh my gosh. He would kill me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, and I should have said it. As a silver with Young Living, if you don't know, are you a lover?
Okay, so yeah, I am not a 5. I am actually a 6 with a strong 7 wing. But I'm married to a 5, and he is just such a fascinating individual. He's obviously my favorite person in the world, but there's so many things when I read about the Enneagram 5 that I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally Seth. Like, this is him to a T. So anyway, and I don't know, like some of this might be different. I mean, obviously I'm talking about like a guy 5, maybe, I don't know whether there's like different, obviously, like you guys were saying, it's not a box. It's just like, it's to help us. So if it doesn't, it's to help you understand yourself. So if it doesn't apply to you, then just, leave it. But I don't know if there's like, if there will be some differences since he's a guy, but these are some things that I've learned about him in the last couple, I mean, we've been married for 10 years. So in the last 10 years, but yeah, so anyways, I'm just going to share a couple of the things that have that, I guess what I mean is I have kind of understood these more since I read the description of the Enneagram. So these things have always been true of him, but I've kind of been able to hone in on them more, I guess, since I read about the Enneagram a couple years ago. So the first thing is that 5s equip themselves with information. The second thing is that 5s are fascinated with the world around them. And the third thing is that 5s value independence very deeply. So the first one, that they equip themselves with information. So a 5, I think that their basic desire is to be capable or competent. So this is different than like a 3 in that when a 3 is, I mean, of course, this is generally speaking, but like a 3 wants to, like, the goal is the point. Like they want to achieve achieve the goal and be the best at it. I feel like my interaction with Seth has been more that he wants to be like equipped for whatever it is that life throws at him. He doesn't necessarily need to be the first one done or the, achieve the goal the fastest, but it's like he wants to be competent. And the way that they do that is by equipping themselves with information about tons of different types of things. So whatever their current obsession is. So my experience is that you're probably not going to overload a 5 with details as long as it's something that matters to them. So you can overload them with details if you're talking about something that they don't want to be talking about. But if they're interested, then like invite them to classes, send them articles, be like, hey, I found this really like obscure scientist who is, researching the essential oils effect on the brain. And like, I think you'd like it. They probably will love, like, that's the type of thing that they're going to love if they're interested in oils. Like if they're in your team and in it with you, then that information is energizing to them. I also have on here too, in terms of information, ask first if they want to learn something or if they want your input. 5s have really deep thoughts and intention about all of their choices. Like, I mean, Seth is so intentional. I've rarely met a person that's more intentional than him. So he's not flippant about, anything. So I think that makes him a little bit resistant to people just like offering their opinions. And some personalities, like, it's totally fine for you to just be like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Like, this is what I think. But I feel like for a 5, and I could be wrong, but my experience is that it's better to make sure that they want your opinion before you give it. So anyway, that is my first point. The thing about the information. Okay, the second thing is that they are fascinated with the world around them. So Carissa kind of touched on this. They're very, very curious people, which is really fun. Seth is, that actually was one of the things that I noticed about him when we first started dating, was just how curious he was about so many different things. So I kind of touched on this actually a second ago, but like, if you find something that is rare or unusual, obscure, that is the type of thing that they're going to find really fun. So I feel like keeping that in the back of your mind could be really helpful for people in your team. Like if you find out like an interesting fact about oils, or like you're kind of, I don't know, about like toxins or like natural living. Like I think it's just fun for them to find out things that are like unknown, because if it's already like common knowledge, they have no use for it, because they're like, this is like, everybody knows this. But if it's something that they have to like search out a little bit, I think it's way more fun. Okay, and then the third thing is just that they value independence, which again has been touched on several times. 5s can be extremely private people. And my experience is that they generally have like just a few close-knit people. So I don't know, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like our whole culture of like community, like everybody's best friend, could be like a little overwhelming in terms of, like they might want your input or advice. They might want you to be a guide in their life, but they probably don't need you to be like their best friend. Because they don't need like 50 best friends. So, and again, I'm not a 5, so I could be wrong. But they also tend to be very objective. So they might respond to you really briefly, like in a text. They may not use emojis, and it does not mean that they're mad or, so don't get offended. Just take them at their word. They're very, very objective. And then Carissa actually touched on this too, is that it might take a 5 a lot of time to come around to a decision, even one that seems really small to you, but it's important for you to give them just space and time so that they can, so they can arrive at the decision themselves. And then once they make the decision, they're like 100% committed to it. So anyway, I hope that's helpful and accurate.
I think that totally was helpful. And I think that well, so since Hannah and I talk about the Enneagram all the time, like every conversation we talk about it. Since recently, I think Eli is a 5, and all of this is like, oh my gosh, spot on. Because like I obviously know how to relate with him, but yeah, wow, that is so cool. So here's the deal. Liv and I were talking about it. We were like, there's not a lot of 5s in the industry. Like we don't feel like, and I don't know if that's true or not, but the ways that I, as a 3, 1/9 of the world view, I'm picking up on this, a few messages here. And one is, hey, if we want to attract more thinkers, more people who are 5s, more like of this energy, which I totally want more in my team. Carissa said something that stuck out. Consistency from a leader validates the enthusiasm that they have. So if you're a 3, like me, you're a 7, you have a lot of spontaneous energy. I'm trying to think of what other numbers might fit with that. Kind of like, maybe an 8 might have that kind of aggressive feel. The way that we can actually prove ourselves to a 5 is by showing up consistently. That means that we have to get over our idea of being perfect all the time, or having the best energy all the time, and show up for the things we commit to. I know if Eli's a 5, after all, this is 100% true. If people are flaky, it's like, So that's one thing we can do. And then the other thing that I heard, it's kind of weaved in. I don't know who to give credit because everybody kind of said this, but like, the capable, like to make people feel capable, or to actually enlighten the fact that they are capable, we have to assume that they can do it, and not just take the bull by the horns and like always power through and do everything, but actually assume that like, oh yeah, people like they've got it. It's totally cool. So, all right, you guys, that was just my little last minute commentary. I'm so excited. Next week is my number. So hop on for 3s. And in 15 minutes, a little bit over 15 minutes, we're coming back to this same spot on Zoom to talk all about oils and hormones, specifically focused on female reproductive hormones. So go follow through with any poll that you put on Instagram that said, yes, send me the link. Make sure you've set all your links. Go through any posts that you did or whatever. Make sure people are reminded right now in the next 15 minutes. We will make it awesome. And of course, if you can't join live, the replays will be on YouTube and also linked in all of the groups. All right, friends, see you next week or in 15 minutes. Bye.